Hello everyone, this is Matt from Rare World Review, and today I'm going to be going over two things, maybe three, I don't know, depends on how this video goes, but the main thing is going to be when you buy a new phone, when you're buying it from your carrier, what you should consider buying, and two, if you're buying used phones, what you should consider buying as well. Do note that this is only applicable for the United States. This may work across the world, but for this video it's going to be US based because that's where I am. I'm also using US based carriers and I believe, US based website called Swappa. I'm not sponsored by any of those things, though there may be some affiliate links to Amazon in the description. I don't know, I haven't decided yet. But let's go over some of these devices. So the main ones that I want to go over are going to be Verizon, T-Mobile, and AT&T. Not in that order, obviously. So the first thing we're going to do is start with T-Mobile, and I'm just going to go through this really quickly. If you're going to pick a flip phone, go with the Flip 4G, 5G. This is the better choice, the Flip 4 5G, because if we scroll down here, we have the Sonim XP3 Plus 5G, which is $210. I mean, they're all going to suck. They're not going to be great phones, and they might just die for no reason. So what I would do is I would go with the Flip 4 5G because it's $100. You can get two of them for the same price, technically cheaper than the XP3 Plus 5G from Sonim. And, you know, they're both not really great companies. Sorry, but they're not really great companies and they might just die randomly. So I don't recommend that. Moving on, we got the Moto G Play 2026, which has the same processor as the Moto G 2025. So technically it's good because it gets that upgrade. However, it is $140. It's great for talk and text, and that's it. I would not recommend this for camera or anything like that. If you're looking for something better, get the Moto G 2025. Don't get the 2024, obviously. Get the Moto G 2025, but also don't get any of these phones because you're just going to be spending that money on nothing. If you get them for free, great, but if you're going to pay the money for it, you might as well spend a little bit more money on a used phone, which we'll talk about later, or just, you know, maybe just get the Moto G Play. It's going to be pretty close to what you're looking for. Same thing with all these other ones. It is amazing that Nokia is still selling this phone. It's a Snapdragon 480. I don't know how they're getting away with that. When it comes to this is the interesting one. So if you want the cheapest of performance per se, I would say the Revel 8 would probably be your best bet at $200. And then if we scroll down here, we got this one, which is even better, the Revel 8 Pro for $250. That's going to get you a better ultra-wide camera because the 8 doesn't have one. It's going to be pretty similar in specs. You are going to get the same processor as the Galaxy A36 5G. These are both water-resistant phones. I would say the A36 might seem like a more premium phone. However, you're getting the same processor, similar camera. The only benefit that you're going to get is you're going to get more software updates or better software updates, you know, going to like Android 16, maybe even Android 17 and 18 on the A36. However, that is $400, which is $150 more than the Revel 8 Pro. So choose your battles there. The Moto Edge 2025 is also a pretty decent phone at that $300 price point. And if we look at benchmarks, the 7400, which is in the Moto Edge, is a little bit better. I would say about 15 to 20%. So if you're comparing the A35 and the Revel 8 Pro and the Edge, I would say for that extra $50 over the 8 Pro, maybe the Edge might be a better option. You might get a little bit better cameras as well. Then if you want a heavy-duty phone, we have the Sonim XP Pro, but it is very similar to the Samsung Galaxy X Cover 7 Pro 5G. The only difference being the S in the 7 Gen 3 chip that is in both of those phones. So technically you'll have one that is a little bit better. That 7S Gen 3 chip is going to be in that Samsung X Cover. So technically it's going to be a little bit better and it's going to last a little bit longer. But at that $200 price difference, personally I would go with the Sonim, although technically I would also go with neither of those because durability doesn't matter in that sense. But if durability does matter, probably go with the Sonim. You will get more software updates on the Samsung X Cover 7 Pro 5G. Camera might be a little bit better, but overall they're going to be very, 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 very mid in terms of just, overall usage. Then if we go back here, I would say the star of the show might be the Pixel 9a at $400. That might actually be a pretty good price. However, that is going to be questionable as to the longevity of the phone, as we've seen the 4A, the 5A especially, the 6A, and the 7A all have battery or board issues, with the 5A obviously being the board issue. So we're yet to see what's going to happen with the 8A and obviously with the 9A, and if the 10A is going to be any different. It looks like at that $400 price point, they might be trying to push this out because it's normally $500, but sometimes T-Mobile does stuff like that. And the iPhone 16e is a great phone if you don't really care about having a phone. Honestly, it's still pretty bad value. It's a good, if you get it free sort of device, or, with an upgrade, if you can get it without trade-in, pretty good device. I would take that over an iPhone 14, especially at that price point. What is that? I would say the 16e, pretty bad phone, pretty bad camera, but overall a decent mid-ranger if you are looking for something like that. And yes, I called it a mid-ranger. S25 FE, very similar to the S24 FE. If you can get a decent price on that, maybe. But overall, you're going to be looking at kind of like the whole Motorola Razr situation, essentially the same phone as the previous one. The processor, I think they threw an E at the end, which makes it like 1 to 2% better than the S24 FE, but okay. iPhone 16, iPhone 15, iPhone 15 Plus, Pixel 10, I don't think any of those are good prices. Kind of the Pixel 10 at that $600 price point, where it should be. But at that normal $800, way too much. And like I was saying, the Razr Plus, a little bit too much for the 2025 version, although $800 isn't too bad. My 2023 version was $1,000 when I bought it new, so yeah. And then honestly, all these other phones, I would say either A, don't buy it, like the Swarovski Razr. If they did like a Razr Ultra or Razr Plus, it might be better, but this is the normal Razr, which is not great. I believe it's also the 2025 version, doesn't stay right here. But all these other phones are great phones if you get good prices on them, so I don't really need to highlight that. I will say the only fold and flip that I would ever consider would be the Razr Ultra 2025. That one has the 8 Elite processor, just like all these other phones. But the main difference will be that this will give you pretty good discounts with trade-in or, upgrading your plan, whatever it may be. However, the folds, you're going to get at most, like, I think $1,000 off. That's going to be the most that you're going to get. I would stick to the used market, as you can get the Pixel 9 Fold for whatever that price is, but you can get the one prior to that for like $300 to $500. So I assume the 9 Pro Fold is going to drop in value when more people get the 10 Pro Fold. So going back to this, I would say the ultimate bang for your buck would probably be, if you want to be on the cheap side, the Revel 8 Pro. If you want to spend a little bit of money, I would go with the Pixel 9a on T-Mobile. Now we move to AT&T, which is going to be fun as well. We're going to skip through all of these. I will say the Moto G Stylus 2025 is a pretty decent phone. This one I think I actually have highlighted. Nope, I have the S24 FE. I do have it highlighted because I wanted to point out that the S25 FE is also the same price and also not worth it. But also we got that A36 5G, which also, like I just said, is not worth it. And then we have the Moto G Stylus 2025, which is about $300. But if we scroll down here, you can see we have that Snapdragon 6 Gen 3. And if we go back to the A36 5G, we have that Snapdragon 6 Gen 3. So for $400 versus $295, I would go with the Moto G Stylus, because that's also going to have an OLED panel. It's going to be a nice display. I've seen it. However, don't break either of those. Then if we keep scrolling, we're going to have essentially the same devices. It's very strange. You got the iPhone 16e right here, but I have it listed as cheapest with no trade-in prices, but for some reason it's going to do this. So it's going to be all confusing. I will say that T-Mobile is the least confusing of these three, having gone through them, but they all have pretty much the same devices. Some are actually more for some reason. I don't know why they charge more than T-Mobile, but they do have some. You have some older Z Flips, which in the used market are definitely way better. I mean, you can see the Flip 4 and the Flip 5 are the exact same price. Why? I don't know. But yeah, if we keep scrolling, you can actually see that we get to flip phones, which are a little bit different, and we get these candy bar phones, which is kind of interesting. I would say none of them are great. The TCL Classic is probably not great. If you need 5G connectivity, I doubt it, but I guess the Sonim might be your best option at $200 if you're looking for a flip phone. But if you're looking for a normal phone, I would say the Moto G Stylus 5G, and then also, like I said, the Pixel 9a. This one, for some reason, is $20 over retail. Why? I don't know. The AT&T is nice to their customers, I guess. But the Pixel 10 is also a great value, but not at that $850 that AT&T sells it for. I guess they're just relying on you to get these trade-in prices, because like Sonim XP Pro for $430, like they really just took T-Mobile's site and go, let's add some more money to it. This one's still $600 though. But honestly, with AT&T, I would kind of go with the same thing that I said about T-Mobile. However, technically it would just be like the Moto G Stylus 5G, maybe an iPhone 16e, which I don't know, I'm still kind of hesitant to. The Razr Ultra, but it doesn't look like they have that here. I'm not seeing it. They're just, oh, there we go. They got the Razr Ultra, which they wanted to obviously price more than the Flip 7 because they want to push the Flip 7 more. Also, it is a more expensive phone. But I personally would go with the Razr Ultra over the Flip 7 because, yeah, I mean, I would go with the Fold 7 over the Fold 6 and 5. But Motorola doesn't make a Fold, so technically can't go pick that over anything else. I will say it doesn't look like we have any Pixels for some reason. There's no Pixel Fold. 9a, 10, 10 Pro, 10 Pro XL. That's it. Yeah, they don't have a Fold. What's up with that? And then the last one is Verizon, which is the worst when it comes to organizing this because I can't find any way to organize it. It's just 79 phones, which a lot of these are good phones. Like I said, the 16e, if you can actually save that $600, but it's probably with a trade-in or activation or whatever. But then it's weird. You got the 16 Pro Max, you got the 16 Pro, you got the 15, you got all of these, the 14, 15 Plus, like what is with all these old phones? Again, none of these look good. The Moto Edge and the A36 are the same price. I thought this was $50 cheaper at T-Mobile. What's up with that? Anyways, we continue on. We get the S24. Why? A54? Really? $500. So not only is it going to be the A54 when we're on like the A56, but also $500 for this old phone? Come on. You're charging more than actual MSRP. But it's not as bad as these Kyocera phones, which I don't even know how they're still in business. $580. This is $900. Look at this phone. This is a $900 phone with a what is the processor on here? I don't even care. But where is that processor? So we got the 64 megapixel camera, which means it's probably not going to be great. 7 Gen 1. Wow. 7 Gen 1. Let me just let you know that we were comparing the 7S Gen 3 and the 7 Gen 3 earlier today on phones that were not even close to that $900 price point. We also got a Pixel 6 here, which is pretty funny. All the 14 Pros, I mean, these are obviously just going to be overstock, or maybe they're not going to be in stock. Like, for example, if I go to the 13 Mini, let's see, go to the 13 Mini, I can't buy any of them. So maybe they're just showing these off just to show them off. But it is pretty insane that they put the 13 Mini right next to the Moto G Stylus 5G 2025, a phone that they're selling right now, right? Or maybe this is just the unlocked version. Wait, what? Why do they unlock them? I'm surprised we don't see an iPhone 11 here. This is the original Pixel Fold. Wow. They still have that. Obviously, you can't buy it, But this is kind of a joke. I mean, you're gonna have to go into your store to see Verizon stuff. I don't know why they make it so difficult, but you got to go into the store. Now, the last thing I want to do is the most important thing. Go on Swappa, and I want to scroll through all of these phones. I'm going from lowest to highest, and in the beginning, well, TCL Flip 3. Maybe that might be a good flip phone, cheap flip phone. Look at that, $27. Let's see what that is. $28 for Verizon, probably unlocked, but $28 for Verizon. It's pretty good. It's gonna be like, I don't know, 40, $50 after shipping. But if we keep scrolling here, I'm not really seeing anything important. This is crazy. Moto G Play 2021, Moto G 5G 2023. Not a great phone, but about the same price, at least on here. Doesn't entirely mean that it is. A10E, good luck selling that one. But look at that. We got that Moto G 5G 2025 for $50. And if we scroll through here, it looks like it is Cricket, track phone. There's an unlocked one, T-Mobile one for $103. There you go. So just buy it used. Why buy new? Let's see. Keep scrolling here. We got the X Cover Pro. This is like the original one. There's like a lot of these. Where's the back? Oh yeah, that's like one of the first ones. So yeah, probably the first Pro version of it. Look at that, Nexus 6 for $59. Probably a trash phone today, but pretty great phone back in the day. Then we keep going here. I'm not really seeing any good phones worth buying. I mean, you know, Pixel 4, but let's be realistic here. We want to get something with 5G or, you know, similar to 5G. Hey, the Motorola Razr, the original one, the 2019 one that was released in 2020. Pretty cool. Revel 7 Pro for $91. That seems pretty decent. $92. I don't understand the pricing there, but yeah. Seems like a pretty decent phone. I believe that was a good phone. I mean, if you thought the Revel 7 was a good phone, then it's a good phone. But, I mean, I don't remember it being a great phone. The Revel 7 Pro did have the OLED panel, so it might be a little bit better. But, yeah, definitely better than the Revel 7. Don't get that one. I mean, especially for that pricing. Then we're scrolling through here. I mean, we got some good used pricing for like a Pixel 6, but honestly, these are still pretty old. If you absolutely are dying for that A36, you're just hating that I brought up how bad of a phone that it is, or at least the pricing. You can buy that phone. Looks like $200 from T-Mobile. Definitely better than that 400. $237. Great. Just buy that one. Don't buy it new. You'll save the world by buying used instead of new. They won't have to make another one of those phones. Razr Phone 2 for $140. Not a great deal, but I saw someone selling them for like $400. So I don't know. Maybe it might be worth the pickup. Nexus 6P for $144. These people are insane. LG V60 ThinQ 5G. A 5G phone that has a better processor than all of these phones that we talked about. It does, you know, it is aging. It's running Android 13, so you're not going to get anything better than that. But under $200, pretty decent deal. Same thing with the Z Flip 4G. Under $200, pretty good. However, you do have to worry about longevity, but it is running Android 16, so you know it's definitely going to be better than a Flip 3 or an S21 Ultra. But yeah, I would say that's another phone that's pretty good. Someone's selling this, really? My phone's still worth money this many years ago, this many years later. It's a Moto Edge Plus 2020, the one that's stuck on Android 12, and still a greater phone than most of these phones that we've talked about today. But yeah, stuck there. Moto G Stylus 5G 2025. This one is Metro track phone unlocked. So yeah, it still might be decent to get it from your carrier, or cheaper if you can. Pixel 7 Pro, great phone. Getting old though. I don't know if I would recommend it. This phone is worth $200. I should have sold it a long time ago. I guess I'm gonna keep it forever. OnePlus 9 Pro, still a great phone, not getting the newest updates, but I think you might be able to unlock the bootloader and get the newest updates and have a better processor than all of these phones that we talked about. Moto Edge 2025, that's another one that, about 300 bucks. Debatable. Red Hydrogen 1. I wish I could have got one of these for like 100 bucks a long time ago. This is a Snapdragon 835 chip, so very old. Revel 8 Pro, look at that, 200 bucks. So if you want to save some money, I guess you can. This one's in new condition right now. Who knows how long that'll last. And then we scroll through here. Galaxy Note 10 Plus 5G for almost 300 bucks. Come on. What are you doing? Android 13. Like, come on. Zenfone 9, 300 bucks. Again, something I would love to recommend, but I wish, I can't. Pixel 3a, Nothing Phone 3a. I mean, 400 bucks. That's a little much. There we go. Pixel Fold. And you might want to go with something that's mint or unlocked. 500 bucks, 400 bucks, you're going to get Pixel 7 speeds, 400 to 500 bucks. I would say it is exactly this. It is fair. Not really a great price, but also not bad. This one I really wanted to get. Maybe I should get this. This is the ZTE Nubia Z60 Ultra. What is that? Let's see. Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, 246 grams. Wow, that is heavy. All right, it's up to you. Decent deal. I mean, better processor than the S23 Ultra, but yeah, I would say S24 Plus might be your better option. What is the minimal phone? I keep hearing about this, but 500 bucks for a minimal phone? Yeah, let's go back, get rid of this e-ink device. OnePlus 12R. I remember that was a pretty good deal at 500 bucks. I'm surprised they're still over 400. 380. Yeah, not that. Yeah, pretty crazy. Look at this. Pixel 10, $400, $500. Let's see. Keep scrolling. Look at that. $387. That's it. The Pixel 10. That's your best option right there. For under $400, a Pixel 10. Wow. All these other phones are getting pretty expensive. If I had to say, I mean, Pixel 9 Pro, pretty good. Under 500 bucks. iPhone 16 Pro, honestly, probably going to be your best bet at this price because everything else is going to be a little bit more. Like, I don't know, I probably would pick a 16 Pro over the S25 Plus. But we do have the Razer Ultra 2025 right here. Look at that. You got the Mountain Trail Pantone, which I don't know if anyone really cares too much about that. It looks like a mountain tone, so maybe that's not really your best option. This is the Scarab one, which, what is that, like green? I don't know. These back panels, like, I don't know if they wear weirdly or what's going on with that, but look at this Pantone red for essentially half price. This is AT&T only. Those other two were unlocked, but yeah, about half price. That's pretty great. I would say this is probably your best bet. And that's pretty much it for today. I think I've spent the last 30 minutes doing this, so hopefully I can get this into a reasonable video and you might actually want to watch it. I also hope it wasn't that echoey in here. And like I said, I might have some links in the description of other phones I would recommend that are on Amazon. And like I said, not sponsored, nothing's going on here. So hopefully you enjoy the video and hopefully you learned something. And as always, thanks for watching.